Keep the welcoming warmth going for Amy. Let her hear it.
Thank you. Okay, so my dad was 6'7". He weighed more than what a bathroom scale could measure. And when it came to farting, his style was loud and proud. And so if he could talk about his feelings, like he could talk about auto parts, our relationship would be so much different than it was. So it was a little weird for me to handle the news when my stepmother Karen called me to tell me that he died suddenly of a heart attack on February 7th, 2012. And I had these weird mixture of emotions. Obviously, I was sad, but I was surprised to feel a little relieved and angry. For one, he didn't take his health very seriously, and I was kind of angry that he couldn't, he was just too tough to eat celery or something like that. And I was also angry because he left behind so much stuff for us to deal with. My dad was a hoarder. Or as in Maine, where we're from, he would be classified, oh really, as a wicked clutterbug. So now we have just so many newspapers nobody wants to reread. Nobody wants to line their walls with National Geographics. There's like a solar panel leaning against the wall for no reason. And if you want to sit on the couch, it's not possible because it's covered with power tools. And so, it was just impossible and a nightmare to deal with. I have dealt with my parents' keepsake habit by becoming a minimalist. And by living in California, it's a lot harder for them to pawn all their crap on me because I'm far away. So every time I moved a little further away from Maine, my parents would be like, but what about the piano? And I'd be like, you found it in a barn. Most of the keys don't work. There's mice living in it. And they're like, but it's an antique. But I'm not that sentimental about stuff. But there was 3 things I did want for my dad. And there were things that he had on his body at all times. And one was his jackknife, which I brought with me for good luck. Nobody searched me on the way in. And his tape measure, and then he kept these little wire-bound notebooks in his shirt pocket at all times, and they were kind of like a tough man diary. He had logged everything in there, every penny he spent on oil filters and donuts and ice cream and who ate each of those cones, and he also had lists of things to get my brother and I for Christmas. And among things on those lists were a thesaurus and a real pillow and a truck and a model airplane. And this was the list he made for me. This wasn't even my brother's list. And he had crossed 2 of those things off, and it was truck and model airplane. So I don't even know how long it was before I knew what a real pillow was. And then my brother's list was even worse. It was one word, just said dictionary, end of list. And so my stepmother and I, Karen, we were digging through my dad's heaped over roll top desk to try to find some of these notebooks for me to keep. And we found one, we could tell that when she was in his life because he had written her social security number on the inside cover. And I can just imagine his pickup line is can I have your number? I was no, your social security number, because I'm going to put you in my will when I die. He didn't talk like that at all, because he talked like a caveman, of course. A caveman who owned several calculators. We found 9 calculators in his desk that day. And we also found every single postcard and letter I had ever written him in my life, up until the point where we started talking over the internet. Of course, he was that guy that had dial-up forever. But it allowed us to chat. We chatted almost every day about, very shallow things like the weather and what he had for lunch. And it didn't really go much deeper than that. But there was one day that he finally upgraded to high-speed internet access, and I was very excited because his first request was, he asked me what is that website with all the cute animals? And I was like, this is so awesome. This giant, intimidating, like no-nonsense, 9-calculator guy wants to look at pictures of puppies. And so I even imagined, like, the night before the router got set up, he just couldn't sleep because he was just like baby elephants stomping in mud puddles. So I was very proud to be the one that introduced him to cuteoverload.com. And that became like a part of he and Karen's life. I know they looked at the website very often. And he even bought her a Cute Overload calendar for Christmas. And we found the receipt for that in his desk. And I loved finding this record of him going on this giant man mission to find a cute present that was so much better than a thesaurus. But the cool thing about this receipt that was there was a second item on it that he did not give to Karen, and that was a whoopee cushion. And to this day, no one has found the whoopee cushion. So I love the idea that someday, somewhere, someone is going to sit down and make my dad very loud and proud one last time.